Hello and welcome, it's Ruth here and you're joining me for another Stampin' Sunday blog hop. Please remember to click the link below to my blog and see all the other fantastic participants in this blog post and blog hop. So we're focusing on Itty Bitty Christmas and looking at the bundle, but don't worry if you're not likely to be purchasing the dies because I have a very creative idea for what you can do with the stamp set. I love this one because it's a great accompanying sentiment set that will just make any of your stamping just Christmassy. It's got some great little sentiments, all sorts of different kind of types of feelings expressed. There's a great one for if you're giving gifts that have got food, that are food related. You've got ones that are kind of happy holidays, which of course is slightly more American for our British tastes, but you know, you could perhaps use the happy on its own and pair it with something else. And then you've just got some really beautiful sentiments like thinking of you at Christmas, blessed Christmas wishes and so on. So do check that out. It's on page 16 of the 2019 Autumn Winter catalogue. And if you don't have a copy and you live in the UK, please contact me and I'm happy to send one out to you. So let's take a closer look at the dies that are available with this set. You have three large kind of configuration dies, with two with snowflakes, so this one and this one, and then you also have this beautiful mistletoe looking leafy die, which is not just for Christmas, it can be for all year round, that one. Then you have these three individual snowflakes and also this kind of like individual little leaf that can be nice for tucking behind flowers. So today I'm going to be showing you three different cards. I've already actually made them up, but I'm going to be showing you how to put them together. So for the first card, I'm aiming this at the casual crafter, somebody who's perhaps bought the stamp set, got one ink pad, got a couple of different coloured pieces of cardstock, scissors and some glue. Now the only additional thing that I would suggest that you have is this amazing fine tip glue pen. Now when it first came out I used it an awful lot and I'm sorry to say I've neglected it, and so I've actually got two and one of them has got a little bit gunked up, but let me just show you how it comes. It comes with this almost like a foolproof lid. It's got a screw top there, and then when you take the lid off you'll notice that there's this pin that actually goes back down into the nozzle of the glue, which is really great for preventing it from clogging. So, I can't put that on, I've got my glasses on, we'll leave that for now. Right, so this is the first card. This is for your beginner crafter, and if you look closely, can you see all that lovely texture I've managed to get on that piece of cardstock there? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So what I did was chose particularly scripty type font from the stamp set. So I chose Blessed Christmas Wishes and Celebrate the Season. Then I've placed it on my block at slightly an uneven level. I haven't got them directly underneath each other, but one slightly more pushed over. You can do it however way you want to do it. And then I've got some Blushing Bride card here and some Rococo Rose ink. And so what we're going to do is just stamp a background very, very simply by doing a repeat stamping technique. So I've got my ink on my stamp there, and I'm just going to stamp down, re-ink, and then instead of stamping in exactly the same spot, I'm going to move it over slightly so that we get different elements of the wording showing at different points. And I'm just going to work my way down the piece of cardstock until it's completely covered, and then go in and fill these little gaps here so that try and keep it straight, not like what I'm doing. And there you end up with a whole piece of cardstock completely covered with that lovely script. And I was having a look at some of, by the way, I'm scrunching now. I was having a look at some of the designer series paper that Stampin' Up sell, and one of the sheets in the Press Petals designer series paper set is actually like this. It's all scripty on the background, so it kind of inspired me really. So here I am just scrunching up this paper, and I know you might be thinking, what is she doing? Well, it's for a reason. It's so that we can get lots of lovely texture into this piece of cardstock here. And then for additional texture, if you want to take a pair of scissors and very carefully just run your scissors down the edge of your cardstock, you end up with this even more kind of distressed vintagey look to the card. Now if you're not into this kind of oldie distressed look, you can leave it absolutely pure and clean and leave it as it is. Then the other thing I'm going to do just to the edges is grab a sponge, and you know, if you haven't got a makeup sponge or Stampin' Up sponges, then you can just use, I don't know, good old kitchen sponge will be fine, because all we're doing is getting some colour down on the edges of the stamped area, and it is really as simple as that. Right, so on to another aspect of this card. Can you see here I've also stamped the main sentiment that I've used here, but I've stamped it off into the background there. So I'm just going to show you how I did that. So I just inked once, stamped down, and then moved my stamp and stamped again, moved it, stamped again, and moved it and stamped again. And here we have this lovely kind of fading off of the sentiment, which is just creating this lovely kind of backgroundy effect. Then, with my fine tip glue pen, I've created these beautiful, almost like water droplet effects, just by squeezing very gently and putting these little droplets on. Now, if you do this, do it where you can leave it for a few hours or overnight preferably, because you want it to go hard and you want it somewhere where it's not going to be disturbed. So once you do it, pop it over to the side and there you have it. Right, so moving on to the next type of card. This is now using some of those lovely dies, and I've cut out some lovely background dies, die cuts with the Blushing Bride. Done exactly the same for my paper. This time I stamped in a horizontal fashion rather than vertical, and then I stamped the sentiment and punch them out with some scallop circle and a circle die underneath there. So if you've got some layering punches or dies, then you can use those to do that. Then with this darker snowflake, this was really easy to achieve. I didn't go and get another piece of cardstock. All I did was get the snowflake, and if I grab a scrap one here, all I did was place the snowflake into my ink pad and then get a block and then just pushed it down into there, and then all that does is it colours your snowflake, and then I let it dry before sticking it onto my card there. So if you don't have the Rococo Rose card, that's how you can make your Rococo Rose snowflakes. So then I used more of my liquid glue here, the fine tip glue pen, and stuck those snowflakes on. But not only did I stick them on, but I put a layer of glue on the snowflakes, and you can see how they're kind of shining there. And if you had some glitter, you could also throw that on while it was still wet, and the glitter would adhere to that. You can also see I've still got these lovely little sort of dewdrops going off into the distance there as well, and then again stamping the word sentiment over and over to create even more texture in the background. So the next card is even more stepped up with the addition of some glimmer paper. So here you can see that I've used that to cut out the leaf, but look at this here. I'm going to show you how to do that. So here I have some die cuts from the plastic sheet that Stampin' Up sell, and you can use the plastic sheet for all sorts of things, but I decided to make my own masks. Then I sprayed it with some repositionable glue spray, and you can purchase that from various arts and crafts shops. And then I laid down, after the glue was dried and it's nice and tacky, I laid that onto my card, and then got some more, my sponge, got my ink, and then applied the ink to the background there. And that's how I ended up with these lovely kind of negative images of the snowflake. Then I also added a gem from the beautiful faceted dots collection, and this is the Rococo Rose gems, and I added that onto the middle of a snowflake and a couple up here just for an extra bit of detail and luxury. I hope you like the cards I've made today. This is the first one for the beginner stamper, with purely just using the stamp set and creating textures in the background. Then this one with some additional die cuts and use of the fine tip glue pen. And then this one here with some lovely bits of glimmer and some faceted dots just to give some extra pizzazz. So I hope you've been inspired. Do have a look at the other participants in this blog hop, and you can order this stamp set and bundle right now, and there's a 10% discount if you order the dies and the stamps together. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care for now. Bye.